Welcome to River City's Community Access Media. This is Get to Know Your City, and I'm your host, Milt Van Natta. Today we continue our conversations with the people who are on the ballot for alderperson on Tuesday, April the 5th. We are with the incumbent in District 2, Todd Ferkey, here today to have a conversation with us about his candidacy for a second term in District 2. Todd, welcome to our program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. We're glad to have this conversation today. Introduce yourself to our viewers. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. I've lived in Wisconsin Rapids for about 55 of my 56 years are in the area. Married to Kay, the former Kay Churchill. We've been married about 36 years and have 4 adult children, empty nesters. So worked formerly in paper mill locally for about 11 years, and then in 1994 my wife and I opened up our own business, Exhaust Pros, over on 12th Avenue in Chase. Been doing that for again 22 years. Enjoy it, enjoy the interaction with the public. Looking for an opportunity to continue serving the city. I've always been a servant. At my church, St. Paul's Lutheran, I've been there for 37 years, served on school board, served on church council, usher, served communion. I manage softball teams, volleyball teams. I'm on the board of the Wisconsin Rapids Men's Softball Association. So I like being involved, I like meeting people, like talking to people. Kind of a social person, I guess. So,
Todd, you won election 2 years ago.
Yes.
Talk about the process in your own heart and mind of seeking re-election in the second term.
Sure. So I enjoy the interaction with the city council, being involved with the mayor, being involved with city staff, looking to give direction to the city as far as what we want the city to look like, what we're doing to get new people into town, what we can do to make our town look nicer, be a more welcome place to people that are visiting, whether it's tourism, whether it's new businesses looking to locate here. There's so much to do, so many opportunities, and sometimes the wheels of government work kind of slow, but it's a process, and I like doing what I'm doing. So,
I'm sure that this has changed from if I'd have asked you this 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But what do you see the role of an alderperson? They're a cog in the wheel of local government.
Sure.
What is that role, and how is it most effectively used?
Well, I think being a representative of a certain area of the city, you're looking to represent your people, your constituents, but also in the bigger picture, you want the city to progress. Okay, and sometimes being an advocate for one particular group or one particular area is not always the best for the city. We had multiple issues in the last 2 years, and when I first started as a alderperson, I thought some of the things were kind of amusing, like our chicken ordinance and stuff like that. But then we got into very serious topics like the Aspirus expansion and the city clerk position. And so getting a lot of feedback from a lot of different people, and it seems like, the ones that are happy with the way things are going, those people don't call you that often. The ones that are real upset, you get enough calls, and you need to respond to them, and I do, and I respond to every single phone call, every time somebody stops me at Culver's or stops over at my business or calls my business. It's an opportunity to explain why the city does things and what the role of the council is and what the role of the mayor is, and so it's an opportunity for me to explain, and it was the last 2 years been an opportunity for me to learn too. So
I'm sure.
Yeah. So
And Todd, you've kind of highlighted for us how all that comes together. You've got a mayor's office, you've got your city council, you've got the department heads who do things on a daily basis in the city. How is, from your inside perspective, how are those three things working together? What's your evaluation in terms of how the city units are working?
I think now working very, very well together. The addition of Joe Terry as a Public Works Director really is such a compliment to the city because he ties in our waterworks, our streets department, our parks department, the engineering, ties that all together and gives one person a leadership role over there. So the right hand knows what the left hand is doing all the time with Joe there, and compliment the mayor and human resources for hiring Joe. It was actually okayed through the council, and I was a part of the interview process for that. But the city staff, I want to say this. When I sit up on the council at council meetings and I look around and I see the other aldermen and I see the mayor and the city attorney and the city staff, the chief of police, the fire chief, Beth Buchanowitz, human resources, to a person, they're all there pulling in the same direction. And it's such a good feeling. There are disagreements on issues that come up. And a lot of issues that come up, there's not unanimous votes, but items are discussed, topics are discussed, and the consensus is formed, and that's the direction that we take whatever issue comes forward. There's been a lot of votes that, not a lot, but there's been a few votes that I've been on the wrong side of the majority. But to me, being able to voice my opinion and the opinion of those that are in my district is so beneficial. So,
let's talk about some specific city issues now.
Sure.
Economic development, job growth. You've already alluded to it when you talked about tourism and this being a good place to live and do business. Where do we stand? Todd, it must be so competitive because Wisconsin Rapids isn't the only city with a priority on job development and economic growth. It's got to be so competitive out there to bring new business in and to grow a city in that way. Where are we at? What can we do better? Just talk to me about that overall issue.
Sure. So when you look at sister cities, Stevens Point and Marshfield and Wisconsin Rapids, all about the same size. We're at some disadvantages. We don't have 2 4-lane highways running through the middle of our town or a university. We don't have a large medical facility like Ministry or St. Joseph's here. But what made Wisconsin Rapids great from the very beginning was the river, right?
Yes, it did.
So we don't have much logging going on the river now, but that doesn't mean that we cannot use the river as an asset, okay? The city has built industrial parks, business parks, commerce parks. We got the table set for businesses that are looking to come in here, but we also have to have the area be attractive so that families want to stay here too. I hear this from a lot of the younger generation, there's nothing to do in Rapids, and even my children, they say, well, we're going to Point to do this, or going to Point to do that, or up at the Crossroads Commons, there's so much shopping there.
Yes.
Now we got Walmart, our mall is struggling, so we're looking for ways to make Wisconsin Rapids more appealing. And again, having a business park where you get a lot of the medical facilities there, the dentals, the Wisconsin River Orthopedics, even Aspirus over there. All that stuff is great, and those are building blocks, but it would be nice to be able to get some larger manufacturing type businesses in town. But again, you can't force them. You have to make your city attractive. We're doing that with our infrastructure, with our waterworks over there, the amount of water capacity and sewer capacity that we have. We're, even using that facility to process a lot of Buren's sewage in the water. So we got the things there. Right now we're going through a kind of a recession still from 7 years ago. Our paper industry is struggling, and it's not just in Wisconsin Rapids, it's all over. So we need to find ways to diversify. We have the golf courses coming in down in Rome. That's great. It'll help our airport, it'll help our hotels, motels, help our restaurants, but we still need more. We need better paying jobs. So it's a struggle with not only Wisconsin Rapids, but with other communities. But we'll keep working on it.
It's hard work, though.
It is.
To keep ahead of and keep the trajectory pointed in the right place.
Certainly.
There's been a lot of headlines about the pool project in the city. Just give us your take, where you stand right now and what you think should be done.
Sure. So the Mead pool will not open again. There's the cost to make it, have the opportunity to make it feasible to open is just too great. And the lifespan, even if it was okayed by the state, is probably only another year or two. We're having issues with water leakage out of the pool. Part of the pool is heaving up, so that causes dead area in the pool. That water doesn't get processed, and that's really the main reason of the closure there, and the reason it'll stay closed. The new pool, or aquatic facility, the city and the YMCA are in negotiation, still in the negotiation part, different locations, and how much of our participation is really up and for discussion. We need to, if we're going to foot part of the bill or a large part of the bill, there's benefits to that. We don't have to supply lifeguards. We don't have to supply anything other than the initial outlay. And yet that'll give our citizens an opportunity, young and old, even retirement age, to use that facility year round, not just 2.5 or 3 months out of the year. But again, that's still in the negotiating stage, even the location, and that'll be a process. Part of our riverfront development is having splash pads. So now splash pads are just a large area with a large umbrella type apparatus that will rain water down on an area that children can play in. And those we're looking at in multiple areas around the city, but again, that is down the road also. But they're also not having to supply a lifeguard for something like that is something that'll be in a continuous operation in the summertime.
Throughout the course of our conversation, you've already identified the river as perhaps our greatest asset to build around. That already begins to answer the question for me that you believe in downtown revitalization, downtown development. The original downtown developed around the river, and it sure sounds to me anyway, like I'm hearing already from you, that that's a vital area of our city to see to long-term growth.
Sure. It's in our very name, Wisconsin Rapids. I mean, it's the rapids on the Wisconsin River. I mean, that's how our name was even formed. But again, its usage as a tool for bringing product down the river is gone. So it needs to be more utilized as a tourist type facility or operation. With the revitalizing of the downtown, with the city purchasing properties over by the former Labor Temple, the bowling alley, and the Spaeth building, and you can see that's tore down already.
Yeah.
It just looks nicer being gone, tell you the truth. That area has been so depressed for so long, and those buildings a couple of them were built in the 1800s. So their use was very, very, very limited. So, and some of them were even closed up, like the Labor Temple or the Charlie's.
Yeah.
So with that area, there was some soil contamination, former gas stations there, Deep Rock. There was a former fire station there that actually burnt. But after it was a fire station, it changed over to a pub and eatery. But that area there, with soil contamination, with some of the buildings having asbestos insulation, asbestos tile floors, it needed to change. And our city boundaries right now, to the south, there's a lot of development there with Walmart and stuff like that, but pretty soon we're going to get to the lake, so our expansion is probably going to stop there. So I think we need to take care of what we have now, and that is the downtown. Okay, that's one area, but our business park, industrial parks, those are other areas that are ready for business. So.
Something that has been newsworthy recently is the water crisis in Flint, Michigan. We don't want to think about having that type of situation in our community. Yet we know that infrastructure systems are aging.
Yeah.
I would imagine as an older person, you feel a deep sense of stewardship over those type of stewardship, vital services issues, probably more than just about anything.
Sure. With our water actually is the best in the state. Was tested here last year, best in the state. That is monitored very closely, and that being said, as far as our infrastructure, you look at some areas of the city. First Street North was just redone last year. Some of the piping underneath the ground there, underneath the roads, was ancient, 100 years old. So. Not knowing the condition of that, it's the reason we have water main breaks and stuff like that in the wintertime with the different changes of temperature, the roads heaving up. So there are schedules as far as changing out the different water lines and the underground utilities in the whole city. So. And again, with Joe Terry there to monitor that and get us on a schedule where this is 50 years old or this is 60 years old. That can be work in conjunction with power and light. When they're looking at changing some underground power, and the city says, well, if you can hold 2 years, we're going to do the water and sewer there too. So, again, that all works together to save us money.
You sound confident that the city's on top of the issue.
I do, yeah. Oh, yeah, very much so, yeah. And, our roads, just like the roads in most of central Wisconsin, leave a lot to be desired this time of year. But, we're not alone in that. Some of it is money, but a lot of it is just the climate we live in. If we lived in Florida where the temperature's fairly consistent, maybe a 60 or 80 degree variance, that's one thing. But we can go from 20 below to 105, so I mean, it's quite a lot of difference in temperatures, which affects how long roads last, how long sidewalks last, the heaving of the sidewalks, the heaving of the roads, so all of that makes a difference. So,
what is your vision for the city? Let's take a look. 20 years from now, even 2 generations from now, what's the path that you want to set the city on as an elected official? See that vision fulfilled?
Well, my hope and dreams are that the city will be a more vibrant place than what it is now. I want to leave the city a better place than when I found it. We have deficiencies as far as with the businesses that are around. We have a lot of our housing is old, very old, especially in my district. And when you have older housing, when you have a lot of the rental type housing, you'll see a lot of areas that really need some attention, you know. So I would like to see our housing improved. I would like to see our ordinance control have a little more teeth to it, where we have houses that and yards that are run down, you know, siding off houses, windows knocked out of houses, and nothing's being done. You know, those are areas that really are a deterrent to people that want to locate in our city. You know, even if you have a nice house, if your neighbor's house looks like junk, you know, who wants to move there? So, Chad Whirl, former District 1 alderperson, had a District 1 cleanup, and for a couple, 3 years, and that was such a benefit to his district, because they were picking up tires, you know, truckloads of tires that were abandoned either in yards or in ditches or whatever. And I looked down our bike trail and our walking trail that goes all the way to Port Edwards. If you walk that, you're going to see areas where, again, people leave their trash, people leave their tires, people leave their TVs, you know. Yeah. So I want the city to look nicer, and a lot of it is not that much money. It's the effort and the
attitude
about, you know, and the wanting to have a nice looking house, a nice looking yard, nice looking neighborhood. So that is something we've looked at as a city council, to do a citywide cleanup, where not only will we receive electronics, but the tires, medicines that, you know, old unused medicines, paints and thinners and stuff like that, you know, nobody knows how long they've been in the garage. So that type of stuff.
Has there been a time in your first term, Todd, where you've seen your district need conflict with the city-wide need? How do you deal with that as an alderperson, when what might be best for your district might not be what's best for the city as a whole?
Well, in my district, there's not a lot of the commercial businesses there. My district is mostly residential. One thing we're going through now is our speed limits on 25th Avenue. A lot of the locals there, you know, they don't want their speed limit raised, but yet we look at 25th Avenue as a thoroughfare from Gaynor to West Grand Avenue. So those are, the city is looking at raising the speed limit, because we can't enforce the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. Yet the residents say, you know, this is 25 for the last 30 years. You know, we wouldn't have moved here if it was going to be a speedway. But with that, you know, you have to look at why the city wants to do what they want to do as far as, you know, raising that speed limit. You have to look at people that say, as far as getting back to keeping their yard clean and stuff like that. This is my yard. I should be able to, you know, keep a car behind the garage if I want to. You know, this is my son's car. We're going to fix it up, da da da. But yet the neighbor says, you know, that looks like crap. So there's areas where the city and the resident have conflicting viewpoints. The same thing with this membrane type garages now that has been in the news lately, and it'll go to Public Works tomorrow. People have these tent type garages that they store their campers in, or their fishing boat, because to build a regular garage is, you know, $5-10 grand, where they can buy this for $600, you know. So we have to do some research on that, and, you know, make some tough decisions where some people are not going to be happy and others will. So
let's drill down for the final segment of our conversation, Todd. What is the biggest issue, do you think, within the boundaries of District 2? And what would you like to do about it within your position in city government?
To me, the biggest issue there is housing and the lack of good housing, good appearing housing. A lot of rentals over there. We have the Thousand Oaks trailer park and other areas that are probably more low income type housing, but there's plenty of issues there in District 2. Not only housing, but we have the narcotics problem with heroin and meth and
some stunning headlines in recent months.
Certainly.
Yeah.
So again, there's enough problems all over, but housing is what I see as one of the big factors that I'd like to see worked on and addressed.
Do you think that the recent housing survey can have some valuable input into that you as a city council can then take and find solutions from?
I think it'll help. As far as in my district, the problems and the issues I see are quite apparent. I think that housing survey was done for other reasons,
Okay.
Maybe to address whether it's a multi-family type housing or a single family housing. So,
couple of final questions.
Sure.
I'd be fascinated to know what the biggest thing you've learned in serving 2 years in city government, having decided to have a desire to continue and serve a second term. But what's the most important thing you learned in that first 2 years?
Don't be afraid to open your mouth.
Oh, okay.
When I first got there, I wanted to conquer the world, but it's intimidating when you're behind a camera, behind a microphone, but it doesn't take very long to see things that maybe you'd like some input on, and if you don't open your mouth, you're not going to get a chance to voice it, and so speaking with other aldermen at different meetings, speaking with city staff, speaking with the mayor at council meetings, you really need to get over that. You gotta speak your mind, and there's many nights that I don't sleep very well because I know of a subject coming up, and I have to work through that in my mind. How am I going to address this? And I don't want to be condescending or confrontational, but yet points need to be made. So, and viewpoints of others as well as my own viewpoints. And I know when I do raise some certain viewpoints that it will affect maybe someone sitting next to me, or maybe raise their ire a little bit. But that's part of the deal, So.
Speak for a moment to your constituents in District 2 and tell them why they should re-elect you on Tuesday, April 5th.
Sure. I think they should elect who they want. I feel honored to have served for the last 2 years for them. I think I've done a very good job. There's not one vote, not one sentence, not one word that I would change from what I've done the last 2 years.
No regrets?
No regrets at all. Every time I get a phone call, every time, whether at home or at my work, and that's fine that they call me at home or at work on the weekends, I don't care. Or stop me at the restaurant or at the gas station, I don't care. I spend the time to talk to the people and listen to their concerns, tell them why things are done the way they're done. If I have a question on something, and the first year I had a lot of questions on a lot of things, but I know who to talk to now, and if there's a concern as far as their yard, their street, they're getting an extra charge for the sewer, because when we had these settling ponds, now there's an assessment given to each household and then to businesses too. Businesses are figured on a different rate than a household. We're figured on square footage of whatever is impervious, okay? So, finding out things like that, it's been a learning process, but I really enjoy it, and I look forward to helping the city, progress and be a more vibrant area. I want to see my grandkids, when I have grandkids, be raised here and enjoy Wisconsin Rapids. So.
Thank you for the conversation, Todd.
Sure.
Get to know your city. Our conversation today with Todd Ferkey, the incumbent District 2 alderperson in Wisconsin Rapids, up for re-election on Tuesday, April the 5th. Make sure you stay tuned to River City's community access, including online and on the cable systems, for more interviews with people who are up for elected office in this spring term and will be voted on April 5th. On behalf of Todd Ferkey, I'm Milt Van Natta. Thank you for joining us right here on River City's Community Access Media.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.